There's no arguing that people love their cars.
We weren't arguing.
They talk about their cars, sing about their cars. Some people even look like their car. Whether it's an old car, new old car, fast car, family car, electric car, race car, two-wheel car, no-wheel car, or a car you know's parked around here somewhere. People who love their cars love to tinker with them. Some people tinker big, some people tinker small, some people tinker some degree between those two variables.
Whose voice is that?
And that's where Supercheap Auto comes in. We've been helping people tinker for 50 years. For people like Bill, Lucy, Kevin, other Kevin.
Oi, get off my car!
Didn't catch this guy's name.
It's Kevin.
Not Patrick. He doesn't shop with us. Whoever you are, whatever you drive, we'll help you make it super. Because super is our middle name. Well, technically it's our first.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the one and only Supercheap Auto East Coast V8 series, coming to you tonight from the wonderful Daytona in Florida, where we come for the final round. It is a very small field tonight. I'm John Van Ree. You're out in the chat. Welcome. Make sure you jump in, say good day. And how are you, Mark?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, John. Yeah, it is a very small field for the final round, which is a little bit disappointing, but still there's two protagonists at the very front that are battling out for this championship, so it'll be interesting to see how that unfolds. We also have Christian Smart and Craig Schultz in Super 2 as well, so still a couple of championships to be decided, so fingers crossed we had some good racing, and usually this track does produce it.
It definitely does. Let's have a quick look at this layout here at Daytona. And that's not Daytona. It is that one there, Daytona. We start on the middle of the tri-oval on the bank section, where we then drop down into turn 1, which is one of the toughest corners in the V8 to pull the car up coming off the tri-oval. Then we come through the flicker of turn 2 coming out of pit lane. Then we go into the International Horseshoe, where it's a great overtaking opportunity for most cars. And then we come down through the kink through turn 4 and into another hairpin at turn 5, where we then come across at turn 6. We cross back onto the oval. And that is a very tricky part of the circuit, where we go from bitumen back, from concrete bitumen mix back onto the oval itself. We go around the embankment on 7, and then we come down into what's known as a bus stop into turn 8, turn 9. Expect guys to have a crack at passing there. Got to get quick out of 10 and 11, where we then come through turns 3 and 4 here at Daytona, and then we head back to the tri-oval. It is a high-speed circuit, and draft will be everything around this place.
Yeah, absolutely, John. Seen many a race decided on this track in the last 10 metres with some big drafting in the final lap. So yeah, if a couple of boys are bunched together, watch out. It's going to be on in them final metres. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting night, that's for sure.
Absolutely. And of course, it's 200 kilometres tonight, so we are doing enough laps to keep yourselves busy. Of course, I believe it's 35 laps or 55 laps, Mark? Top of my head?
35 it is.
35, that's right. That's what I thought. Someone didn't type the right notes in for me. Of course, we're 6:30 in the sim at the moment, so we'll be going into nighttime as the race starts. So there'll be a bit of a twilight lighting effect. And, of course, the boys have the one fast repair, 2 compulsory pit stops with 2 sets of tyres. So this place is hard on tyres as well, so this is going to be really interesting to see.
Yeah, that's for sure. The V8s certainly aren't a car that are set up to drive on banked ovals. So, yeah, getting the setup right here, but we do get some pretty high-end speed. I'm sure most of them will be on the limiter by the end of the front straight. So yeah, it's going to be a very interesting night, even though it's a small field. And like I said, we've still got 2 championships to be decided tonight, so there's still a lot to play for the drivers who have shown up.
Yeah, definitely a lot to play for here. Looking forward, though, to seeing what we can achieve. I know we're missing some of our big names, a few of the regular drivers like Shane Van Gisbergen and Co are all off doing the real world stuff this week. Wish them all good luck. But as you said, Mark, we've still got a championship to win here. James Scott was meant to be away this week, but he's here. That shows how much he wants it.
Yeah, absolutely. He's not given team boss Jordan Ross any freebies this season. So, yeah, them two boys are going to battle it out all the way to the finish. And then I think we've got Craig Schultz, Christian Smart, and I'm not sure where Brad Doble is in the championship. And we've got Anthony Visma too. So Super 2 is going to be red hot as well.
I might just quickly throw that up. Super 2 championship. So Craig Schultz quite handy in the lead by 100 points. Brad Doble sitting in second, but he's only 4 points up the road from Visma. So that's where the real battle's going to be. Ash Burrell is away this evening. He's ill, as far as I believe, but Christian Smart is only 40 points away from those boys as well. So anything can happen there in the Super 2s. In the pros, James Scott's got roughly just under a 40-point lead from Jordan Ross. Jordan is with us this evening. So Jordan will be looking for James to not get 75 laps. So based on the field size, James would have to complete more than 75% of the race distance to qualify as a finisher, and that will give him the title. Blake Warboys, he's sitting on 1643 in third place. Thomas Freeman on 1628. Thomas not here this evening. So I think the gap back down of 30 points back to Damien Johnstone with this small field will be too much as well for Damien to be able to push up into the top three. So I think we might have it all decided. But as I said, it only takes a blown engine and anything can change. And we saw that last week.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've got no fishy drivers here. We've only got one of the 9.5 boys. A couple of privateers, and the rest are from Synergy Sim Racing, I think. So, yeah, it's a little bit disappointing not to have a bigger field than what we've got, but this is it. This is round 12. We did have another big Bathurst 1000 on the weekend for the sim community in the Pro Series, which was an absolutely epic race. Fantastic grandstand finish, and I'm sure there's a few fatigued souls out there in the sim world.
Yes, this man on screen at the moment, James Scott, took it to the two boys from TTR and managed to come away with the biscuits. Great drive from himself and his teammate Shane Van Gisbergen. And I think that really now opens up the battle of the championship, the Pro Series as well, for the 2 rounds to go. So it'd be good to see one of our boys do well. See here, he's on an absolute flyer as he just sets the fastest lap with a 1:42.134. Damien Johnstone just jumps up into third. Visma in second. So it's great to see the Accelerate Racing driver sitting in second.
Yeah, Anthony Visma doing an outstanding job up there in second, but the gap is quite big. Jordan Ross hasn't been able to set a time yet, so probably had a couple of off tracks and hasn't completed a lap. We've got just over 4 minutes to go, so he's still got time to set a number. And yeah, like Anthony Visma, big surprise packet there.
Yeah, it's going to be good racing, I think, if we can get Anthony Visma mixing it up there for those big boys. Been knocking on the door for a while, being up and about, so forward to see what the race control from Split 3 Vets can do. Well, boys, here looks like he's on an outlap.
At this stage, it's quite some margin between James Scott and P2. It's a second at the moment, so that's a pretty big gap in anyone's terms.
Yeah, it is huge. It is huge, but like we said, this is a track where you need to work with somebody. You need that slipstream. It's going to be a long night and a hard night for James if he's going to do it all himself. And Definitely not long now. The boys have only got another 2 minutes to go. What we might do is jump on, get a cockpit view of a lap with Warboys as he comes high off the bank. I think someone... here we go. Let's jump on board, Warboys. You hear that engine revved right out. Nicely through turn 1 and 2. The International Horseshoe. You're looking to get the jump on John Stone and maybe see if you can knock out Ross here. Okay, he's purple in the second sector. Shout out to Pete, Steve in the chat. Nice to have you along this evening. And into the bus stop. Pull it up. A lot of time can be won and lost just in those 4 corners. Into the final bank. 304 Ks as he crosses the line. Gives you an idea of the speed that these guys are doing. And Warboys moves himself up into second with only 30 seconds left on the clock.
And look at some of them top speeds. James Scott 307, Jordan Ross 308, Blake Warboys 308. So they're wringing the neck out of them engines out there.
We're definitely doing that. I don't think I can get that. Actually, can I? No. There we go. There's a top speed there information. So Warboys, I don't know how he got to a 326. Not sure what the story is there. You can see as we go flagged. See James Scott 307, Ross 308. 305, so getting some quicker times coming in. Some interesting times as well. So I'm not sure whether SDK is picking that up correctly. But definitely starting to take shape with the grid. Craig Schultz is going to find himself. Hopefully setting a reasonable time as he comes around. To the bus stop. And Blanchard's the only man left on the circuit. Sounds like Blanchy's on his way back in as well.
Yeah, he's cruising, so that's quality done, I think, John.
Yeah, I think it is. Only 9 cars managing to get a time in. 1 car towed without permission, which is Dane off turf. So Very short, sharp 15-minute qualifying session there. As the boys roll back in. Expect the clock to tick over any second now. And we'll get this race underway.
Is there any objection to just doing the normal shorter?
And we'll just continue on with what we need to do here. As we can now go to the grid and have a look at our grid formation. So on pole, we have James Scott from Synergy Sim Racing alongside his teammate Jordan Ross. P1, P2 in the championship, battling it out. P3 sitting in third. And then in P4, we have Accelerate Sim Racing's Anthony Visma on the second row. That is a sensational effort from the P2 Super 2 driver. And we have Damien Johnstone sitting on the next row alongside Craig Schultz. Then Christian Smart alongside Brad Dobell. Chris Blanchard from WK&P. Sebastian is our race control alongside our safety car driver, Richard Barella. Myself, for some reason, I've jumped in car tonight, but that one. And go over the page if there is one. And Dane, of course, from Passion Sim Racing, sorry. Expecting him to jump in and have a crack. And I believe we may be going to a shorter grid set. He's got to be careful here. Starting at this place on the banked oval can be very tricky for some of these guys. The car is on an angle. Of course, we have to be very careful with the banking. And I've seen plenty of drivers bugger this up and drop the nose down towards the bottom of the curve and the back step out. So the pressure will be on right from the get-go here.
Yeah, definitely a unique start here, John, and it is very easy to get it wrong. So we've got about 10 seconds before we go racing. So let's hope it's a good, clean start.
Only hope for that. And engines are revving. Lights are on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 reds. Lights are out. We're away. Oh, we're seeing a bit of a switch. Visma and Schultz there. Both fell victim to the banking. As we continue around into turn 1. Scott gets the jump on Ross. Warboy's tucked in behind. Damien Johnstone's come through quite well. I think we've had an accident in the background already.
I think it was Anthony. Sorry, John. It was Anthony Visma tapping Christian Smart there.
Yeah, we might just get off to the banking in a minute and then I'll flick back to that. In fact, these four look quite settled. We might quickly go back to that incident now. Jump on Christian Smart. So Christian gets the tap from a hard-charging Visma. Poor old Blanchard caught up in the middle of it. And so was Dobell. So, as we said before, this place and that banked oval at turn 1, very tricky. As these boys come round on the banking for the first time. And James Scott already 0.7 off. He's had a great start.
Yeah, Jordan's just got to try and hang on to that toe for as long as he can here and not let James escape, because if James manages to break that toe, then it's all over for the boys behind. And poor old Anthony Visma had a great qualifying and messed up the start on the bank there, and I think he just was a little bit frustrated with himself that he messed the start up and then took too much speed into turn 1 and tapped the rear of Christian Smart, which has compromised both their races.
Yeah, definitely not the ideal start. But James here looking very composed. But Blake Warboys tucked right up behind the back of Jordan Ross here. You can see here, Warboy's tucked up in the draft. See how getting picked right up in underneath here. Through the bus stop. Incident notice, points penalty to the 101. So Visma getting penalised there for that incident early on lap 1, turn 1. Might just jump on with Blanchard. He's in a little bit of a tussle here, trying to chase down Dobell in front of him. A few little battle packs on track.
Yeah, Dobell trying to hang on to the back of Craig Schultz as well. So Brad Dobell's in a pretty strong championship points position in Super 2. So he wants to finish the season as high as he possibly can and to solidify his championship.
Yeah, he has driven very well all season. And of course, Anthony Visma fighting his way back from that incident.
Yeah, Visma and Smart really need to try and work together now and try and pick up the small pack in front of them, so they really got to utilise the tow together here and work together to try and creep up onto the back of Blanchard, Dobell and Schultz in front of them.
Anyway, we'll keep an eye on that one. Dobell Blanchard battle is definitely still tightening up a fair bit.
And of course, with Blanchard and Dobell battling fairly hard here, like, it's going to give the opportunity for Craig Schultz to just open up that gap a little bit, especially if Brad Dobell starts focusing on his mirror and not what's in front of him. The battle out front still ongoing. We've still got James Scott, Jordan Ross and Blake Warboys in a fairly tight battle. The gap at the front to James is still around that 1 second mark, and it did get a little bit higher, but Jordan was able to get the draft and bring that back a bit, and it hasn't gone any higher than just over a second for the last 3 laps. So Blake Warboy's in a prime position here, tucked up under Jordan Ross's wing, and he's probably in there saving as much fuel as he possibly can.
Still a long way to go, only lap 4 of 35. And remember, 2 compulsory pit stops, only 2 sets of tyres. And the sun's starting to set.
Yeah, as you said earlier, John, with only 2 sets of tyres for the race, they've got a double stint on 1 set. So, yeah, this place is fairly tough on tyres, especially you've got changing track surfaces, limited grip, bumps in the track. The car likes to move around a lot, and most of these guys will be running pretty low wings, I would imagine, so that has a tendency to slide the car a little bit as well. So yeah, tyre management's still going to be crucial over the next 30 laps.
Yeah, definitely going to be looking to look after the car, look after the tyres. The Warboys gets a very good run through the bus stop, always closes that little bit on Jordan Ross in front of him.
Yeah, bus stop's such a key area of this track. You want to carry as much speed into it as you can, but you don't want to carry too much and compromise your exit, because the exit on the bus stop is absolutely critical for this front big long straight on the bank.
The Warboys there is closing ever so slightly in that draft, but that's going to get harder now because Jordan Ross has closed that gap to James Scott. So that gap closes up, means Jordan Ross is getting the draft as well.
Absolutely, and you can see like that gap was about 1 second, 1.1 seconds, and by the end of that straight it was nothing. So one better exit than the other, and you can see how much that cost you. So I'm sure Jordan got a bit of a better run out of that bus stop corner on the exit, and then he's just been able to climb all over the back of James Scott.
Of course, we go under the embankment again. Time to pick up that draft. That's right, Stephen. If you go through the bus stop, take a little bit too much, you do get very badly penalised with a slowdown. You can see how in that draft you catch up ever so slightly. Of course, coming through turn 4 now, that sun's in the driver's eyes as well, which can have a little bit of effect.
Really good fun track to race too, especially as we've done in Vets a few times, where we've had late afternoon night races where it transitions from late afternoon light into evening night time. Been many a good race here with the Vets over the years, and yeah, these boys are doing an outstanding job up front.
Yeah, it's pretty magical. Of course, this circuit used for the Daytona 24-hour as well, so it is well known in motorsport. Shout out to Sean McNamara, he's jumped in the chat and joined us.
Yeah, because iRacing does their the Daytona 24-hour sim race here as well. So yeah, it's a well-known track to everybody in the iRacing world, and yeah, it produces some great racing.
These three boys are having an absolute cracker. Damien Johnston's already nearly 6 seconds off the back of this group, struggling by himself. So we talked about the power of the draft. So Damien has no draft partner. He's working by himself here. He's got to do it tough and do it the hard way. So his fuel consumption will be well up on Warboys and Ross. Then we go further 11 seconds back. We've got Craig Schultz. So Craig managing to get the jump on Blanchard now. And of course, Blanchard and Schultz got the jump in that incident. Dobell doing quite well. Looks like he's caught right up to the back of Blanchard. And these two having a great little battle by the looks. That's right, Stephen. Yeah, it is a multi-class race, the Daytona 24.
Yeah, you see some very big speed differences in that race with GT3 cars and LMP cars racing on the same circuit. So, yeah, it can get quite hairy at times. Just noticed Christian Smart has rolled the strategy dice already and taken his first pit stop. So, after that nudge in the back from Anthony Visma on the opening lap at turn 1, Christian has decided to take his first compulsory pit stop early on.
Only sitting about 30 seconds back from Anthony Visma. He's 5 seconds behind Brad. See, Blanchard takes a very defensive line into turn 1. Oh, very fast closing there. James Ross has just gotten past James Scott. Might just have a quick look at that pass on the replay. So into turn 1, Scott's gone a little bit deep. All boys backed out of that a little bit. Just allow the safe rejoin. I'm interested to see whether Scott's just happy to sit back here for a little while now, save some fuel, look after the tyres.
Yeah, Blake was quite generous there. I think maybe in the back of Blake's mind that these two boys are battling for the championship, and he was happy to let them duke it out, and if it falls his way, he'll take it, but he's just going to let these boys race it out for the moment.
Steve noticed that James Scott might be a little bit loose. Might have cooked his tyres a little bit from that lock-up. It's going to drop on the Dobell as well because that gap is really close. Still all over the back of Blanchard.
Of course, as we said a little bit earlier, with these two boys battling, it's enabled Craig Schultz to extend his lead over these two, and it's out to about nearly 5 seconds now, I think. So, yeah. Craig's done a great job just keeping his nose clean, head down, and doing what he's done best all season, and just getting on with the job.
Yeah. Driving superbly.
Yeah, Craig's a great operator and a genuinely nice guy. Worked a lot with Craig in the past in race control in different series, and yeah, he's a genuinely good guy, and great to see him in here doing so well in the East Coast series, and he's in a very good team.
Well, Ross is going to be the first one to blink. Yes, Shane Patterson, 2 compulsory pit stops and 2 sets of tyres is the scenario for this evening. Damien Johnstone coming in as well. As we know, James Scott has a tendency to go long on this first stint. sun's starting to definitely set now, so we're going to get in a scenario where the track temperature won't warm up any more than what it has. The track's only 20 degrees at the moment anyway. So definitely good conditions for trying to look after their tyres.
The air temperature is only 18 degrees. I don't believe it ever drops that low in Florida, does it?
Very special one-off day, I think. So will we see War Boys or Scott pit this time round?
I definitely think if I was in Blake's shoes, I'd be just following James Scott for as long as I can, because if James can punch out some good laps and Jordan hasn't taken new tyres yet, then there's no real advantage for Jordan at the moment. So if he's taken tyres, he'll probably get an undercut, but if he hasn't, then yeah, if I'm Blake, I'm following James Scott for as long as I possibly can.
Oh, you'd have to be trying to hang in that slipstream. You've got 1.1, 1.2 seconds before you start to lose it. So the longer he can hang in behind the lap times that James does, Blake would have to be doing quite well. Where is Jordan? Let's have a quick look. So Jordan at the moment's punching time by himself. It's a tough old track, this one.
Yeah, so you could see there without the tow, Jordan is lost about 3 or 4 kilometre on his top speed. So that goes to show you what the tow's worth around here. So he's only got to about 304 kilometres an hour on that lap, and his top speed is 308. So definitely worth quite a bit of margin, when you're sitting in that draft.
Yes, it definitely is. And Chris Smart's caught up to Anthony Visma. I'd say Visma's gone in for his stop as well.
Visma stopped, Smart has stopped, Damien Johnson, Jordan Ross has stopped. So we've got Dobell, Blanchard, Schultz, Warboys and James Scott still to pit.
War Boys still just hanging on. See the difference there, 142.8 versus a 143.005.
Ross is closing in on the back of Dobell and Blanchard, so he'll be picking up a bit of a tow from them boys in front. But he was about 0.3 of a second slower than James Scott on that lap, and 0.5 a second slower than Blake Warboys. So depending on fuel drop between the different drivers, if Blake can just hang in here with James Scott for a few more laps, I think Blake might be able to jump Jordan Ross possibly.
Oh, big dive from Jordan. Gets himself past Dobell. Looking to make a move here on Blanchard. Nice work by Jordan Ross to get past those two. And the other man who hasn't stopped as well, of course, is Craig Schultz. And the boys go one more time around.
Yeah, Blake with a little bit of a compromise exit there on the bus stop, and you can see his lap time is about 0.6 of a second slower than the previous lap. So still a good lap, but just goes to show you how critical that exit out of the bus stop is.
Yeah, absolutely crucial. And these boys, of course, managed to hang on to Ross, that draft. And you can see Blanchard a second back. And expect the lights to come on anytime soon.
Blake's starting to drop off the back of James Scott here, so for me, if I'm Blake, I'm going to dive into the pits any moment to try and still stay out in front of Jordan Ross. Blake is currently 1.5 seconds back, and if he loses much more of an exit coming onto the first part of the banking here, then he's probably going to lose the draft altogether soon.
It's probably time to think about coming in. And Wallboys peels off. Leaving Scott out in the front now by himself. Still a couple of boys to pit. And Mark's just had a blackout, so I'm on my own to the end. That is a bugger. Of course, some interesting weather about New South Wales at the moment, so not surprised. Anyway, James Scott still has to pit here. He's got a nice 29-second lead over Craig Schultz, and he's about 36 seconds ahead of James Scott. And of course, if we have a look at the pit transition times, not pit lane times, you'll see 47 seconds, 52 seconds. So it's going to be very interesting to see where this comes out. Jordan Ross with that undercut has got past Warboys, and I think he's going to be knocking on the door here for being in front of James Scott as well. And of course, the battle absolutely continues. And we might just leave these guys, jump on here. We've got some cars close together. Let's keep an eye on James Scott. Dobell and Blanchard have been nose to tail for this whole section. as continues on. And James Scott continues on as well. So Bell here sitting in 6th, hunting down Blanchard, chasing that slipstream, coming down into the hard braking turn 1. Got to get this right. No, they haven't, Stephen. These two are yet to pit as well. As Dobell gets past Blanchard there, he was a bit loose into the turn. That overtake has been coming for a while. And if you nail the bus stop, it is absolutely lots of fun. It is a really enjoyable, fun circuit to race on this, particularly in these twilight races. Just going to jump on with James Scott, see if he pits this time by. So James, looking very comfortable at the moment. We're all just waiting to see as he goes another lap. Right, into turn 1. And we might jump on board and watch a lap with James Scott. You can see by the amount of corrective steering inputs going in there that those tyres are past their use by date. That car is very loose. Very interesting riding on board. Of course, lap 19 of 35, so he's gone a long way on this first stint. And the lights are now on as we power down to the end of this Season 7 championship. Of course, Jordan, get rid of that tactic. Of course, Jordan Ross now, I'd say by my timing, still going to be roughly about the same time as Blanchard now comes into the pits. So Bell moves up into 4th. And that now just leaves Dobell and James Scott as the last two guys to make their pit stops. And we're coming around. Does he go in this time? Yep, Scott's in. And gonna jump on the back here, Christian Smart. He's tucked up behind Anthony Visma. These two have been... Oh, Visma's loose. He's off on the weeds. That's allowed Smart through. Just going to jump on with Jordan Ross now as he's on the banking. Coming around to the tri-oval. Scott still in the pits. James Scott on pit exit. We're going to see Jordan Ross come round, tucked in behind here. So James Scott's going to get himself a couple of seconds, about 2 seconds out in front. Nearly 3 seconds, 2.5. So Jordan Ross didn't win but didn't lose out of that undercut. War Boys a little bit further back. Might just check the stationary times on the pit time board. Bring that up. So Scott was stationary for 13 seconds, Ross for 10, War Boys for 14. So could definitely open it up a little bit. Of course, you really wanted to be about the same as sitting in the tow with the guy behind you. That's really the key that you need. And you can try to see, going to start lapping some traffic in the near future as well. So the boys will get a little bit of a tow out of that, I hope. James Scott, 3 second lead from Jordan Ross. Everyone's now completed their complete stops. Blake Warboys is sitting back in third. Damien Johnstone in fourth. Craig Schultz, he's had his first stop as well now. He's sitting in fifth. Christian Smart, he pitted on lap 5. May have come in for that fast repair. And I've got Blanchard and Visma have both pitted twice. So these two boys really need to work together here. They work together, they might be able to get the jump on Dobell when he goes in for his next stop. Of course, sunset definitely kicking in. Track temperature now down to 19 degrees. So the track definitely cooling off. Lap 21 of 35. Time to start expecting those next round of stops. I would think you would want to leave it too late. As field, apart from these guys, are all fairly well spread out at the moment. Blanchard, Dobell's in for his second stop. So this is where the action's going to be. Keep a close eye on this one. Yeah, these two boys roll out. Dobell's rolling, but he's been jumped by Visma and Blanchard. Here's Dobell. He'll be a few seconds behind, I think. So that really opens up that battle. And Blanchard off in the weeds as Ross and Warboys go in the pit together, leaving James Scott out on track by himself. Right, you can see when James goes, whether he holds. On lap 23 of 35. We don't want to leave it too late, particularly if you're going to put new tyres on. If he's not putting new tyres on, it's probably best to match. Very small field tonight, so chances of a safety car very slim. And James Scott continues on another lap. So let's quickly check Jordan Ross. He's fast catching up to Craig Schultz here. Yeah, gotta agree, Stephen. And Ross here making the most of the slipstream. Easily gets past the 9.5 Sim Sports entry. And Chris Smart now goes in for his last stop. War Boys. He'll be the next man hunting down Craig Schultz. Craig 6 seconds up the road from him. They expect Craig probably to hang on to that slipstream maybe for a little bit. Bit of damage on the side of the Mustang. Oh. Or who that was. War Boys did have an off. We might just have a quick look at what that was on Supercheap Auto Replay. Very deep into the International Horseshoe. So, yeah, that's why War Boys dropped back after that pit stop. War Boys, James Scott's finally in the pit lane. Damien Johnstone. Let's see what he does. Johnstone's continued on. War Boys has got himself going. Scott's still in the pits. He's coming out now. He's going to be tucked right behind Damien Johnstone, just to make it interesting. and easily gets past. So still waiting on Damien Johnstone and Craig Schultz to make their final stops, as we're on lap 25 of 35, so 10 and a half laps to go here. Johnstone hanging into that slipstream just a little bit. Start to lose that now. So probably Damien's probably due to come in for his stop. And Johnstone goes another lap. Interesting strategy. I'll just keep a bit of an eye on the championship board. So if things stay where they are at the moment in the Super 2 series, Craig Schultz, as we're probably well aware, will be on the run with a tie. But if Brad Dobell stays in 9th place, even though he's tucked up behind Blanchard, it will be a dead heat for second between himself and Anthony Visma. So this little battle here for Dobell to get past Blanchard is very important in terms of the championship battle of the Super 2s. He goes to the outside. Brave move. That looks like he's got the pace to get it done going into the bus stop. So we see a change for position. Shuffling Blanchard back to 9th. That'll be enough now if Dobell can hold this position and Visma doesn't get past Christian Smart. This could be enough to hold the championship, the second spot. As Damien Johnstone still yet to pit. Jordan Ross safely got some reasonable distance up the road. Craig Schultz is still to pit as well. Waiting to see when he comes in. Lap 27 of 35. I'd have to be thinking about it shortly. Four boys, he's back in 5th. Looks like that little bit of damage would be slowing the car down in straight line speed. All right, as you chuck the dashboard up, we'll have a look here, see if we can have a bit of a guess at the speed. topped out at 303, so just down a little bit. As we talked about before, if you're not in that draft, it really hurts. And then a little bit of damage to the car doesn't help, as John Stone's gone into the pits now. And James Scott still out in front by a good 8 seconds from Jordan Ross. Craig Schultz sitting in third. This is a great drive from Craig. Warboys tucked up behind him, Nate. Warboys will be wanting that podium. So Craig Schultz, 95 Sim Sports, sitting in third spot. Warboys under 3 seconds behind. The laps starting to tick down here. A couple of other close battles on track. Anthony Visma, he's starting to make some ground up on Christian Smart. Of course, Visma gets past. And becomes very interesting in that little 2-horse battle. The Super 2 Championship podium, not 100% decided here yet, as Craig Schultz decides to go in for his stop, and he's the last man to stop for the night. James Scott now, as things settle down, has a comfortable 9-second lead from Jordan Ross. He's 10 seconds up the road from Warboys, 18 seconds up the road from Damien Johnstone. We're just waiting to see where Craig Schultz rolls out. He's back on track. I think he's done enough. Oh, Anthony Visma has 5-point penalty, as we mentioned early on. I didn't realise that was post-race. 2 licence points. If we're putting that into the championship, that just changes it all again. Calculate the numbers on that one, and that changes the equation. So definitely a lot of work to be done now. Oh, I think it might all be done and dusted with those penalties added. Let's jump back up front. James Scott. He's doing very well. Lap 30 or 35. 5.5 laps to go now till we crown our new champion. And of course, before we do that, we can have a quick chat about next season. Calendar's been released. Entries are available. Of course, next season we start with the 200k race at Long Beach. Then we head to Laguna Seca. And then we align ourselves to the Pro Series Road America. And then we go to Jerez, where we do the moto circuit. So we take out the chicane. The center chicane, and then we go to Mid-Ohio, which is always a good track. After there, we bounce into Road Atlanta, And then we have a epic circuit on the 21st of November. We are doing the Nürburgring combined, otherwise known as Nordschleife. 12 laps around that place in these cars. I know the vets did it a few seasons ago, and it actually turned out to be a very competitive race meet. After that, they head to Bathurst for a 300k race, and then they do the Winton National Circuit for 200ks, and then they finish with another 300k race at Phillip Island. So absolutely cracking season lined up for next season. Make sure you get your entries in. Yeah, get onto us in Facebook if you need to, or if you're in our Discord channel, make sure you jump in and have a look as these boys here all bunch up a bit. Bismarck getting a little bit loose there at the end. All right, Craig Schultz here, still leading the Super 2 from Smart. Bismarck, Blanchard's got himself back in front of Dobell now. I don't think that'll make too much of a difference though once those penalty points are applied to Visma. Craig has pitted, Stephen. Yep, everyone's pitted. Christian Smart tucked right up behind here. Getting the draft. Going to get past here. He's going to look down the inside, coming into the bus stop. No, decides out of it. Let's jump back on with James Scott here as he comes through the International Horseshoe in the penultimate lap. Just going to have a quick look at Blanchard. He's still tucked up behind Doble. And Schultz under a lot of pressure from Christian Smart here. Not sure on that one, Stephen. I haven't driven too many other cars around here, so not sure if others have to back off on it. It's only a slight lift. It's not major lift. As last time, penultimate time 3 for these boys. These guys having a really good crack here. Just keep a bit of an eye on. There we go. Smart up the inside. Does he get it done? Visma up the inside as well. That's 2 through on Schultz. So Visma moves into P2. Smart now moves into P1. And Schultz shuffles back. I don't think it's going to affect the championship too much. Dobell's still staying in front of Blanchard. It's James Scott on the final lap here. He is coming into the bus stop for the final time. Been an epic drive, an epic season. Missing the one race. Not having a drop round available to him. And getting the job done, which I think he'd be pretty ecstatic with. As he comes across to be the Season 7 champion of the Supercheap Auto East Coast V8 Series. Coming home second in the championship, of course, Jordan Ross. Been a great battle. Lake Warboys. He will be the man to come home in third and third in the championship. And Damien Johnstone. Great effort by Damien. And he's going to bring it home in fourth spot. Provided he doesn't run out of fuel. Great drive from Damien. I think he'd be pretty happy with that. And Christian Smart from the Synergy Sim Race, he's going to bring it home in fifth, ahead of Visma, ahead of Schultz. But Mr. Schultz is the man that has been there and done that. He will win the series. And Blanchard, he's going to bring it home in front of Dobell. I'm not sure what's happened to Brad. But that is the Super 2 Championship won and run. So hopefully we can get some drivers to come in and have a chat to us. And we can get the lowdown on what has happened. But first of all, not on top of everything here, but I can say that in Super 2, Craig Schultz with 119.14 points will be the champion ahead of Brad Doble on 18.13. And then on 18.08 would be Anthony Visma, rounding out the third position in the Super 2s. Chris Smart, as we said, he had that DSQ that he had to carry. That has going to be a little bit disappointing for him. Just going to see if I can find what happened to Doble. Well, we haven't really got anything. We go to the pass here. I think Chris just had the run on him, I think. Right on the line, as you do. So that rounds out our top 5, of course, with Blanchard coming in 5th in Super 2s. The Super 1s in the Pro Series, we have in first place James Scott on 1962, 1921 to Jordan Ross. Warboys on 1815, 1781 for John Stone. So that rounds out the championships there. I think 1 or 2 bonus points may be up for grabs, but I don't think it's going to affect the distance in the points between everybody. As we continue on, reading a few messages. Mark Duggan, yep, he's on minimal phone battery. He's still sitting in the dark. So big thank you to you as well, Mark, for all the efforts you put in, mate, and helping me commentate, and everyone else who comes in and watches along as well. And we've got the man, the myth, the legend, James Scott. Congratulations. You are the Season 7 Supercheap Auto East Coast V8 champion.
Thank you.
That was a interesting little race, but you seem to did really well. A little bit different strategy to the other 2 boys. But you've definitely got to be pretty chuffed with getting that championship out of the way with the old furphy of a holiday in the mix there to keep it interesting.
Yeah, no, it was a tough race. Yeah, Daytona, it's a bit of a fun track. Makes for really good enduro racing. So I don't know, maybe Scops or something can look at running maybe an enduro race here. It's pretty good fun, and the drafting and everything. I remember AOSC back in the day used to run a really good 650 here, which was always produce some really good racing. So yeah, no, just stayed out. I was sort of keeping an eye on the gap to Jordan and Blake, and so I was sort of pulling away like half a second a lap or more when they weren't in my draft. So I was like, there's not really any reason to pit. And yeah, no, kept it clean, pitted whatever lap it was, and yeah, just ran until I saw the other guys behind pit. And then I just ran a couple more laps just to try and get a bit of a tyre delta if there was a late safety car or something, and yeah, dive in and looked after it to the end.
Yeah, look, it was pretty easy. I think the biggest worry you would have had would have been another big field like we had last week and another engine blowing. That would have probably been the main thing that would have kept the battle very close. But, you know, I think being Bathurst week, a few people being away and a few other people driving other things, definitely made it a lot more easier if you did have that scenario happen.
Yeah, no,
yeah.
I don't really know how last week happened, to be honest. Bit of a rookie error, to be honest. But yeah, I don't know. I sort of jumped on last week and no laps and was a bit of a wobbler, to be honest. So, well, same tonight, but I don't know. I just felt a bit more comfortable tonight. And with this really long gear ratio that you run here, I think the chance of an engine blowing is pretty low. So, yeah, no, shame there wasn't a bigger field. Yeah, Bathurst week and the big piss 1000 just been. So maybe people are taking a little bit of a break after that. Tough race, but yeah, no.
Geez, no, and I wonder who won that race.
Yeah, no.
A
Was
wobbler.
happy with that for sure. Yeah, I was wobbling around and lucky enough to come with the win. So, but no, the car was awesome there as well. So shout out to the Richie's Dock Shop. The cars are really awesome. So thanks to the Dock Shop for those ones.
Too easy, mate. And we'll have a quick chat to Blake. P3 tonight and P3 in the championships. You've got to be pretty chuffed for that one, mate.
Yeah, pretty happy. Wasn't expecting P3 in the championship at the start with the names that are in the series, but yeah, definitely can't complain with the results.
You definitely did quite well, mate, and rubbing the paint off the side. Never a good look.
Yeah, couple of rookie errors tonight, but just trying a few things, trying to catch these really quick SSR cars, but yeah, slowly getting there, but I think it's time for my break from the supercar for a bit. Get over the car, to be honest.
Yeah, I think the years boys that have been doing the Pro Series, this and other things, yeah, it's a fairly hefty campaign.
Yeah, I think I've done like 4 flat out supercar series this season. So yeah, it's time to jump into something else for a bit, I think.
Yep, that's fair enough. Anyone you want to give us a shout out to, Blake?
Yeah, WK&P Sim Sports for all their hard work. Wodonga Carts and Parts. Barella Cabinets. Lost my cheat sheet. There it is. Rebel Sports, BCF, MacPack, Pool Guys Adelaide, Bay 21 Coffee Beans, LGC Images, Dave 37 Racing. I think I said Supercheap Auto. Yeah, sponsoring the series as well.
Yeah, and James, anyone you want to give a shout out to, mate?
Yeah, obviously all the guys at SSR, Watercraft Performance Center, Parramatta Isuzu, West End Motor Group, Dr. Epoxy, Works Racing Components, and I think there was a few that I think I mentioned after Bathurst, but they're back on board for this round. So the Woodies Paint the Body, Newman's Crypto, Manny's Home Brewery, Jimmy's Interior Lighting, Wallace iFlag Products, Fuel Cell Energy, Macmillan's Cog Lubrications, Anton's Exotics, and Andrew's Dental. Thanks to those guys.
Too easy, mate. And nothing to talk about. Next week, Season 8, registrations are open. So hopefully got a few weeks off before that starts. Big congratulations to you boys again for first of all winning the series and Blake for being on the podium. Big thank you to everyone that jumps in and watches. Most exciting race that we have with the number of cars we had tonight, but it has been a pretty exciting series when we have a look back at some of the other races that we've had. Big congratulations to Craig Schultz from 95 Sim Sports. I was hoping Craig might jump in and have a bit of a chat to us, but not to Vale this evening. And of course, a big thank you to Mark Duggan, who unfortunately power outage knocked him out this evening. But Mark makes my life a lot easier sitting here pushing buttons, talking about cars going around. And big thank you to the race control team who were so busy tonight. They were worked to the bone. And of course to the series admins. And on that note, I think we might say good night, guys. A big thank you again to everybody. Night.
Thank you.
There's no arguing that people love their cars.
We weren't arguing.
They talk about their cars, sing about their cars. Some people even look like their car. Whether it's an old car, new old car, fast car, family car, electric car, race car, two-wheel car, no-wheel car, or a car you know's parked around here somewhere. People who love their cars love to tinker with them. Some people tinker big, some people tinker small, some people tinker some degree between those two variables.
Whose voice is that?
And that's where Supercheap Auto comes in. We've been helping people tinker for 50 years. For people like Bill, Lucy, Kevin, other Kevin.
Oi, get off my car!
Didn't catch this guy's name.
It's Kevin.
Not Patrick. He doesn't shop with us. Whoever you are, whatever you drive, we'll help you make it super. Because super is our middle name.